today I want to talk to you a little bit about some concepts that I want you to be familiar with. And the term that I'm using, some of you have heard already, we'll hear more about in the future, is a term called slow furniture. So this morning I want to introduce that concept a little bit, talk a little bit about what it means, so it gives you some ideas about what is it that we're talking about when we talk about slow furniture. And the concept slow furniture, as I've been talking about it, really emerged with some of my inspiration in thinking. The place I got inspiration from was in thinking more about slow food. That's been an important concept for me in the last several years. While I don't always eat the way I want to eat or intend to eat, I'm still inspired to think about the things that I put into my body, and not only from a sort of a nutritional point of view, but also just in terms of its effect on the environment, its effect on on farmers and on distributors, and the whole experience of eating food. So I want to talk about that a little bit this morning and start with that. You see I have some displays up here this morning, and I think that most of you are probably familiar with fast food. There's some fries up here if some of you want some a little later. There's a Big Mac, and you can see some characteristics. You can probably imagine some characteristics of the fast food experience that are familiar to us all, right? What are some of those characteristics? What do you think about when you think about fast food? Grease? Okay.
Drive-through.
Which signifies what? Convenience, speed, eating on the run, in the car. Pardon?
Low quality.
Okay, low quality, cheap.
Kids.
Great, kids. Yep.
Feeling sick later. Yeah.
Pardon?
Feeling sick later.
When? I mean, while you're eating, after you're eating? Yep. Fattening. Okay. Yep.
Trash.
Yep. See here.
Guilt.
We've got the straws that are making the news these days. Guilt, you said? That's a good one. All right. These are all good, and we could go on. There's and if you think a little bit more about the fast food industry, let me just take us there for a second. What do you think of relative to fast food, the fast food industry?
Low wages.
Low wages?
Yeah, customer service unless you're Chick-fil-A.
Okay. That's one I hadn't thought of. That's great. Yeah, I like that.
Factory farming.
Factory farming. Yep. Yeah.
Unethical.
Okay. Ethical issues.
Low quality, which goes with factory farming.
Yep. Yep. Where do you hear about what drives people to get a Big Mac in the first place?
Commercials. It's easy.
Thank you. I mean, commercials. If you think about the way that the fast food industry, thrives, it's in front of you constantly in terms of the advertising.
Busy lives.
Yeah.
Busyness, busy lives. Yep. Okay. So good. In contrast, so this is not about guilt, by the way. So we'll set the guilt aside a little bit.
Everybody has to say where they're going.
No one's going to McDonald's today.
I'm not going to fault anybody for coming up and grabbing a surprise. But in contrast, think a little bit about what, if fast food is characterized by those things, what's the contrast with, and therefore the characteristics of what we might call slow food? And you think of what, some of you might be familiar with some of the concepts already, but you can start to imagine opposite of fast food.
Organic,
leads us to what? Often characterized by organic,
fresh veggies,
fresh vegetables.
takes longer to grow.
Pardon?
Takes longer to grow.
Yeah, longer to grow.
More expensive.
Often more expensive, right? That's true.
Taking the time to prepare.
There's some complexities to the cost issue, by the way, so we could tease that out a little bit. But sorry.
Taking time to prepare.
Okay. So up here you'll see some examples just of raw fruits and vegetables, and obviously this represents slow food in some sense, but it's not. Slow food also is encapsulates the idea of taking time, making a dinner, using your hands, taking the time in the kitchen or at a restaurant that might specialize in that to really blend ingredients together and come up with something magical. So it's not only in simple form, but it can be an experience of cooking and preparation as well. Yep. What else?
Nourishing.
Pardon?
Nourishing.
Nourishing. Yep. On this side of the table, you probably can imagine all the nutrients, and they're actually symbolized in the colors, right? So there's a color difference from one side to another. Here you have browns and yellows, except for the packaging. Here you have a beautiful, which is another word I would like to use, beautiful assortment of colors, and they represent various nutrients that come into our bodies. So healthy and nourishing physically. The other thing, so there might be more nourishment that goes beyond that. And if you think about the experience of eating slow food, how does that stand in contrast to what some of you talked about in terms of fast food?
That was way more appealing than that.
Okay.
Well, I think about the time that it takes to prepare it, which I think someone may have mentioned already.
Yep.
And then actually sitting down and enjoying it.
Thank you. Yeah, sitting down around the table, conversing with friends, taking your time, maybe setting your fork down between bites. That's also a degree of nourishment, I think, that's really important. And so it's not just the physical nutrients that it gives, but the nourishing, the health that it gives you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I think there's something special when people can sit down around a real, authentic meal with real food. It doesn't necessarily happen when you're on the run or eating in front of the television or behind the steering wheel. So I want to impress on us that eating slow food is not just about, it has implications in a lot of ways. It's good for your health, good for the environment, but there's also an experience to it that's important. It's how you taste. It's how you approach eating. And so there's a different mentality there. If I think about some of our core values here at JMX, there's some values that we hold high that actually connect with us, right? Authenticity is a big one. Excellence, you could talk about. Creativity, even. Sustainability. So there's 4 of them. I want to take a little bit of what we talked about in the contrast between slow food and fast food and compare it to fast food, fast furniture, and slow furniture. Did you get that right? And so we'll take a little bit of time in sort of digging in, if you will, to some fast furniture and also some slow furniture. This piece, Jake tells me, was built in what year do you think? Any guess?
2017.
Yeah, 2017. So here it is. I need two volunteers, two strong guys to come up here and. Scott, you want to take the other piece? Now.
We'll find out, right?
We'll find out. Give this thing a stress test, and just each of you grab one end of it and just see what the durability is of this thing.
Exactly what a man would do. There we go.
This is really scary.
Let's pull this thing up. Here's what you have in the middle of that one, and you can see what the what the product is made out of. But you get the picture, right? You know, it's flimsy, it's cheap. This was 2017, and the screws come right out, etc. So I want you to think about that and keep this image with you. This is what fast furniture looks like. It's the Big Mac. It's the Big Mac version. All right. Slow furniture, in contrast, is a little different. And we could try to pull together, of course, some of the. We could put Scott and Ryan to the test. Well, I don't know if they are the test or not. But we could put them to the test, or somebody to the test, trying to pull some of these coffee tables apart in this room. And my guess is that would be a whole different story. So let's take a look at what's inside of this one. And we want to make sure that we can see it for the video, but there's obviously a contrast here between what you just saw and the solid wood piece that's made authentically throughout. What you see on the outside is the same thing that you see on the inside, right? So, big difference between the two. That's what you get between a Big Mac and real furniture.